Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I want to do something a little bit different for you today. My psoriasis is pretty bad at the moment, so I thought I'd give my face a bit of a break. So I'm not putting any makeup on today, I'm not having any shave for a few days. Just want to let my skin breathe. So this is a video basically giving you 25 different facts about me. So if there's any particular item that I discussed that you would like me to go into further, then please leave a comment and I will make a video addressing, that particular item or subject, whatever. So I will start the ball rolling with number one. When I left school, I studied performing arts for 3 years. I had big dreams of becoming an actor. I wanted to be a character actor, and when I left school, I went to college and studied performing arts. I did a BTEC first diploma and a BTEC national diploma. I loved it. I passed with distinction both courses, and yeah, something happened, I suppose, with me mentally between the age of 19 when I left and 20. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. Number two, I was 20 when I went into hairdressing. So after I left college, I went back to where I was working part-time at college. I went back to my former employer. I worked at Sainsbury's. I used to be on the checkouts and occasionally collecting the trolleys. So for a year I was just working, not quite sure what I was going to do, and I decided to go into hairdressing. So I was 20, all of my peers were 16. That's only a 4-year age gap, but from a school leaver to a 20-year-old, there's quite a big difference in personality. But I did find some really amazing people to get along with, and they became lifelong friends. But yeah, I was 20 when I went into hairdressing. Number three, I also, after about 10 years or so of being a hairdresser, I trained to be a florist and opened a flower shop alongside my husband, then boyfriend. And it didn't last more than 9 months. We opened in 2008, I think, just as the financial crisis was taking hold of the country and probably the whole world. So things like flowers, the luxuries of giving flowers, didn't really happen much. So for a new business, trying to build a custom, it just, it didn't last, and I needed to make money to pay the bills. So we changed the flower shop back into a hair salon and went back into hairdressing. But it was a good 9 months, and I loved being a florist. I still love flowers, and I was pretty good at it. I've got some pictures on my Instagram, so if you want to see any of my floral tributes, delve through my photographs on Instagram and you'll see some of them. Number four. This is a controversial one. I hate the taste of tea. Can't stand it. I've never liked it. Even as a child, we have a thing over here that in any kind of crisis or any kind of situation that you might be going through with friends or family, someone always wants to make a cup of tea because tea will make everything better. Actually, please don't offer me tea. I can't stand it. And I have on occasion accepted a cup of tea out of politeness and for fear of not wanting to offend my host. I wouldn't do that now because I don't think it's offensive to refuse tea, but in my, late teens, early 20s, I didn't want to offend people, and so I would drink tea if I was in a formal situation, which thankfully didn't happen often, but yeah, I can't stand it. Don't like the taste of it. To me, it's bitter. Doesn't matter how much sugar you might put into it. It's bitter, it's nasty. Ugh, no, thank you very much. Number 5, I developed psoriasis at the age of 30, and I can tell you exactly when and why it happened. I was around the back of our salon, unblocking a drain that had clogged up with hair. Glamorous life, I know. And basically, through my efforts of unblocking this drain, it was compacted, I managed to give myself a hernia. It was an umbilical hernia, and I felt it pop. I felt the bulge, and so I was a little bit concerned and dutifully went to the doctors a few days later. But it was within probably 2 or 3 weeks of doing that, I developed psoriasis pretty much from my neck to my toes. My face was clear at that point, but everywhere, the trunk of my body was absolutely covered. My arms and legs were covered, and they still are. So yeah, it's taken me 12 years to get to this point where, I can quite comfortably sit here with, my arms out on show if I want to. You can see a little bit of the psoriasis there. I think the light might be blinding it out a little bit. But yeah, so 30 years old, developed psoriasis. Didn't know what it was until I'd gone to the doctors and had to, then see dermatologists and stuff. And within, I think, 3 years of developing psoriasis, I developed psoriatic arthritis. The first signs for that for me were my fingernails started to look like orange peel. They were very pitted, and it came from nowhere, and literally just couldn't quite fathom why that was happening. So again, I went to the doctors, and they said that it's one of the first signs of psoriatic arthritis in your fingers, and I had various x-rays and various tests done, and yeah, it worked out. It turns out that I had psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. Number 6. So after several years of hairdressing, I'd won a few awards as a trainee and as a colour technician and stylist. And then we opened our own salon, and our salon won awards. We won Best Salon of the Year, and we also won several awards for our trainees and the training standards that we were given. And the company that I previously trained with myself was the company that we were sending our trainees to do their NVQ level 2 and level 3. Well, they were holding the competitions, and they asked me to become a judge. And so I did. For several years, I was judging the competitions that I was once entering, and that was really fun. And I really missed that side of hairdressing. It was good to really sort of see the quality of hairdressing that was in Bristol at that time. I've been out of the loop for a good number of years now, so I'm not abreast of what's good and what's not, but at the time there was a lot of really good hairdressers in Bristol, and I'm sure there still are. I just don't know who they are anymore. So number 7, I got my first tattoo at the ripe old age of 40. I'd been iffing and amming about getting a tattoo for years, but the one thing that had been putting me off was the fact that I now had psoriasis, and I was worried that getting a tattoo would, one, cause a psoriasis flare-up, and two, where could I get a tattoo? Because a lot of my body was covered with psoriasis, so I just didn't know where to get a tattoo done. I eventually settled on getting this part of my arm tattooed, and it was the beginning of a sleeve, all floral, roses and different flowers that I really love. But within 2 or 3 weeks of this part of my tattoo, I had a massive psoriasis breakout, actually all over the tattoo. So I did, I cancelled the rest of my tattoo appointment because the flare-up that I had not only happened on my tattoo area, I ended up with a flare all over my body, and the fibromyalgia that came along with that just put me out of action for several months. I was really, really quite poorly. So I just didn't want to put myself through that again. I'm not saying that I won't in the future. If my psoriasis does clear, I will probably go back and get the rest of my tattoo finished. But watch this space. Number 8. I came out to my family at the age of 20. I first started going on the gay scene when I was 16, and at college I met a friend there who was bisexual. He was a year or two older than me, and so, you know, being 16 and wanting to explore not so much my own sexuality, because at that time I was firmly in the closet, but nightlife, clubbing and things like that. And yeah, I started going out and, you know, doing the club scene at the age of 16. But still, I was dating girls, and that was my life. And I got to 18 when I had my first experience with a guy, and that was a disaster, and I just didn't know what to do, so I went back in the closet, but finally came out to my family at the age of 20, and my mum cried for a couple of weeks, thinking that it was something to do with her and the right way she raised me. And you know, that was back then, that was 20 plus years ago. Things were different for people coming out 20 years ago, and I know you might think that 20 years isn't that long, but bear in mind, the year I turned 18 was the year that they brought the age limit down from 21 to 18. So at 17, when I was starting to have these feelings of oh my goodness, you know, am I gay? Do I want to, you know, experiment with a guy? I believed that it would be absolutely terrible if I did anything with a guy before the age of 21. And at 17, having to wait until you're 21 for sex, that's a long time to wait. So yeah, when I turned 18, that was the same year they brought the age limit down to 18. So I was very grateful until the point of, you know, fun times, which weren't such fun. I just didn't get on well with gayness at 18. So I wasn't ready for it until I was 20. Number 9. Okay, so going back to when I was 16 and clubbing with my friends, I was in one club in Bristol. It's not there anymore. It was called, I'm not sure, it had 2 names in the duration of time that I went there. It was called Flamingo Joe's, and it was also called Club Leo. And I can't remember at what point it changed from one to the other. But for the purpose of this, we'll call it Club Leo. So I was 16 in Club Leo with my friends, and a very well-known pop star who also DJs, was there doing a DJ set, and he, at one point when he was either on a break or finished his set, I can't quite remember whether he'd finished his set completely or was on, you know, a break, he came up to me and asked me if I would like a drink with him. And I was very shy, very bashful, and very aware that I was underage. And so I declined. And I said, no, thank you. And I said his name. And I'm not going to say that for the camera. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to involve names of people. But it did happen. And I have told that story loads of times since then, because had I been more daring, perhaps, I would have accepted the drink. And I don't regret not accepting the drink, but, you know, if I'd have had my time over again, I would have accepted the drink and had a better story to tell. So, number 10, at the age of 14, whilst I was still at school, I pierced my own nipple and my nose. Not at the same time, not on the same day. You know, there were probably about 6 months between them, but the nipple came first. And I don't know why, but I just wanted to. So I did. And I told a couple of friends of mine that I pierced my nipple, and they wanted to see it, so obviously I would show them. And then some other people found out that I'd had my nipple pierced, or that I'd pierced it, and they kept tapping me on the chest, which really, really hurt, to the point where I had to end up taking the piercing out, because it was just too painful when everyone would slap it and flick it and tap it. They thought it was funny and I didn't. So yeah, I took that out, and I ended up taking the nose ring out because I just couldn't find anything to put in my nose that looked nice. So yeah, it was a stage that I went through, and I just didn't keep the piercings. I also had my tongue pierced, and I had that for close to 10 years before taking that out. Thankfully I didn't chip any teeth, but yeah, I enjoyed that piercing. Don't really know why I did take it out, but I did. So where are we now? Okay, yeah, this year in January 2019, I trained to become a counsellor, and I did a accredited certificated course and passed, again with distinction. It was very tough going because I'm not naturally academic, and there was a lot of theory and a lot of writing, all the things that I'm not too good at or keen on. But I did it. I wanted to prove to myself that I could learn something new. And I did. I trained and qualified as an accredited counsellor. So yeah, I've not used it yet, but I've got it there if I decide that I will at some point. Number 13, my eyes change colour. They go from steely silver grey to blue to green. I can't quite tell what colour they look at the moment, but lately they've been looking more green than blue, but I think it depends on the weather and different things like that. But yeah, they change colour, I'm pretty sure. Number 14, I have a collection of 10 different Vivienne Westwood handbags. I love Vivienne Westwood as a designer. Being of the extremely plus size variety, there's not a lot of her fashion that I could wear, unless I took things apart and stitched them together, which I won't do because her clothes are works of art and I absolutely love them. So the next best thing for me is handbags. Doesn't matter what size you are, you can always wear a Vivienne Westwood handbag. So I've got 10 different Vivienne Westwood handbags, and I love each and every one of them. They're beautiful. To me, they are absolutely gorgeous, and I will maybe one day show you my collection if anyone wants to see it. Number 15, I collect Hobbies. My husband despairs at me because every spare bit of space that we've got in the house is filled with be it needle felting, embroidery, coaster making, you name it, tiara making, jewelry making. I literally have so many different hobbies that are dotted around the house, in every nook and cranny that I could find to fit them in. I just love doing different things. I love crafting and I get bored very easily. So yeah, I collect hobbies. Number 16, I've never taken a driving test. Now, I have taken a theory test when I was 19 or 20, I think maybe 21. I don't know. It was a long time ago, and I failed it. If I'd got one more question right, I would have passed. But that day was a disaster and should never have happened. I should never have got out of bed that day, and I will make a video if any of you want to know why. I'll touch on part of the reason why later on. That was Dave, just in case you can see a shadow in the background. That's my dog Dave, getting himself comfortable on the bed. So yeah, I've never taken a driving test. I don't like driving. I've never really enjoyed it. I only ever took lessons because everyone told me that I should, but I hated it. I didn't feel safe behind the wheel. I didn't feel confident behind the wheel. So yeah, I've never been a driver. Number 17, I once cooked Christmas dinner for 6 people on a 2-ringed tabletop oven. And that is a big deal because I cooked 3 different types of meat, plus roast potatoes, roast parsnips, stuffing, pigs in blankets, sprouts, cauliflower cheese, carrot and swede mash, broccoli, peas, gravy, bread sauce. For 6 people on a 2-ring tabletop oven. I would like to see someone else try that. I think that should become a Facebook challenge, a YouTube challenge even. How many people can you cook for on a tabletop oven? I cooked for 6, a full Christmas dinner. I'm proud of that. It tasted lovely. Everyone enjoyed it and I got a lot of praise. Thank you very much. Number 18. When I was 18, I caught viral meningitis. It was a horrible, horrible time. And I was in hospital for 8 days. And when I came out of hospital, I was out of action for another 2 weeks before I could even think about going back to college, which I did for just 1 day a week for a little while until I built my strength back up. It was really, really horrible. If the doctor hadn't caught the virus in time and gave me an injection and got me to hospital, it would have turned into bacterial meningitis, which is terrible and could be fatal. And so I thank the NHS for saving my life, I reckon, when I was 18. And yeah, it was a horrid time, and I am very grateful that I'm still here, because I know that it is a nasty, nasty disease. So yeah, meningitis at age 18, not good. Number 19, I have a collection of over 40 different roses in my garden. Climbing roses, rambling roses, standard roses, bush roses, tea roses, you name a rose of any colour, and I've got probably something like it. I absolutely love them, and David Austin roses are the absolute best, and I have so many of them that smell and look amazing. Again, if you look on my Instagram of the same name, Sunny Screen TV, you will see some pictures of my garden when the roses are in full bloom. The only trouble is you can't smell them from your phone or computer. I have the pleasure every summer of being able to smell and celebrate these amazing roses, and I love them. Number 20, I have a third set of teeth floating around in my top palate. And the reason I know this is about 9, maybe 10 years ago, I had a lump on my gum that I had to get biopsied and subsequently removed. And within 3 months, the lump grew back and I had to get it removed again, all at the dental hospital in Bristol. So they had to do a lot of x-rays because they wanted to see how far this lump went back and, you know, whether it was anything to be concerned about. So whilst they were doing these x-rays, they could see a third set of teeth. Not a full set, but several, a good number of teeth floating around in my top palate, ready and waiting for, you know, if I lost a tooth, I'm quite lucky that I do have a third set to come down. And actually, this tooth here is a third tooth. I lost it when I was, again, about 19 and spent 2 years or so with a gap. And then all of a sudden, a tooth started growing down and I was perplexed because I'd already lost my baby teeth and this was the adult tooth that I'd lost and, you know, was walking around with a gap for 2 years. And then there it was, a new tooth. So yeah, 3 sets of teeth, lucky me. Number 21. On our Christmas tree last year, every single decoration that was on there, apart from the fairy lights, I made by hand. From the angel at the top to every single decoration on every branch, I personally made by hand, and I was very, very proud of the fact that I did that. And all of those decorations will be going back on the tree again this year, and I look forward to decorating. It's only going to be a couple of weeks away. Number 22, I am a bit of a magpie. When it comes to things that sparkle and shine, I'm there. I love it. I collect it. Crystal, glitter, anything. If it shines and is sparkly, I'm instantly attracted to it, and I gravitate. I love it. Number 23, I have seen 4 ghosts in my lifetime, 4 separate occasions. Over the years, they weren't any time like close to each other, but over the years, I have seen 4 different ghosts, and I wasn't scared by any of them, actually. So yeah, that will be an interesting one if you ever want to know more about that. Number 24, I inherited from my nan a radioactive cake stand. It's gorgeous. It looks beautiful. If you shine a black light on it, it glows, absolutely glows. And I didn't know why it glowed under black light, but it does. So I did some research and I found out that the materials to make the glass dates back to 1800 and something. I think this particular cake stand is from the 1920s or 30s. It has got a big crack in it, unfortunately, and it is in my display cabinet, but yeah, it's radioactive. Not to levels where, you know, it could do me any harm, I don't think, but I wouldn't serve a cake from it. That's, you know, personally, I just wouldn't want to, but yeah, radioactive cake stand. Oh wow, so I am on the final fact about me. I once saved a lady from cracking her head open on an escalator whilst it was going up. This is a really long story and I won't tell you it now, but it has something to do with that day from hell when I took my theory driving test and failed. It was immediately 20 minutes, half an hour before I sat for the test, and it was crazy. But if you want to know more about that, leave a comment and I will do a whole video just about that, because it is quite an interesting good story, and I'm telling you this, if there was a camera pointing at me, I would have £200 from You've Been Framed, because it was absolutely farcical. At the time it was awful, but it was funny to look back on. So that's it. That's 25 interesting or not so interesting facts about me. You can tune in, like, subscribe, and leave a comment, please. And like I said, if there's any questions, anything you want to know, leave it in the comments and I'll make a video about it. Alright, well, thank you very much for spending your time listening to me waffle on about me. I'll speak to you again soon. Ciao for now.